All right, all you devils, here we go. All right, a little after 12:30 for me here in Austin. In this video here, we're going to look at three majors. I'm going to get to them relatively quickly as there's not, well, yeah, we haven't missed much. I know I haven't posted any content in some time. I mean, here's Bitcoin. I mean, from Thanksgiving through New Year's, we've just been stuck in this range. But in addition to looking at, we'll look here at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple, and I'm going to try to get to them much more quickly. A lot of changes we're making at TDU, and part of the reason I haven't been posting is trying to organize it. The basic difference here, or how we're going to change this, it's about what I trade. Now, members, you'll have to indulge me here for a minute, as this is going to go to YouTube as well. But really, this is to our YouTube subs, because I've already done some video content here describing this and getting our members, both free and paid within our Discord, kind of updated on where we're going with TDU. Now, many of you know that my career started as a broker. I spent 10 years specifically as an options broker. So that's where I learned the market. That's where I learned technical analysis. That's where all of my mentors, had great influence on how I approach the market, and it's where I'm comfortable. 10 years of watching other people trade options, you're gonna learn a lot. So what I wanted to do was try and eliminate the disconnect between the TA that we offer here and that we teach, and then how I execute, because nothing changes with regards to how we approach the market, right? TA is the same, right? We have our methodology, which is, as anyone here watching knows, is a combination of market structure, Elliott Wave, fib relationships, and market geometry, right? Again, not because that I would argue to you that is the best way to approach the market. It's just our way, and it's one of many, and it's what we are comfortable with, and so that's what we teach. Now, that said, when it comes down to pulling the trigger and executing on either a directional bias or a non-directional bias, that has always been where we kind of stopped, right? At least in what I've produced here, the content, it's always been, okay, well, here's the ranges. Here's where you might be looking to be a buyer. Here are some reasonable targets here. But the actual execution was always left to the individual. And that was partly influenced by the old saying, cliche, or, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him to fish, feed him for life. And so we always stayed away from that. I also didn't want it to be about me. Look how much money I made, right? I never wanted it to be about that. I wanted the focus to be on the methodology, let people make their own evaluation. And if they wanted to implement that as they approach the market technically with regards to execution, we just have always left that to the individual. Well, we're going to try and change that here. So the difference will be not in the TA approach, but in how we execute and what we're demonstrating here. So you're going to see a lot of option trading going into 2026. I'm actually a pretty active options trader. Maybe 10 trades a week is not uncommon. Sometimes less, sometimes more. Kind of depends on what's going on. But I spread that across a wide variety of assets, but they're almost always in the equities market. So I trade a lot of individual equities, some indexes as well, but a lot of individual equities. And for me as a trader, and the difference looking back to, I'm going to age myself here, but my 10-year stint as a broker was in the 90s, right? That's how far back we go. And now the amount of data that's available to an options trader it's just mind-blowing, right, compared to what it used to be. So we really have access to institutional level kind of data that would have been just unimaginable to retail traders, even 10 years ago. Now it's $20-$30, right? You can get access to it all. So I do use a lot of different tools when I'm approaching the market, when I'm looking for options trades or structuring option trades. And a little bit of what I've been wrestling with is how to introduce that here, particularly to the subscriber base here on YouTube, because that's such a hard right turn from what we've done for the last, we're 7 years now. I've been doing this. So I'm excited about it because I always felt there was a real disconnect between my experience in the market, and which was one step beyond the TA. So you can expect that to come. Now, some of you may be like, "Oh, block options, shit, really?" Perhaps we'll lose some subscribers as we're going to diversify, but really, it's not. The point is not, oh, well, we're just crypto, or we got to stay. We've been focused on crypto for the last 7 years, so we got to stay in crypto, right? I mean, as far as me, I don't fucking care, right? A chart's a chart, right? They all trade the same way to me. Now, there are different variables here, and options kind of open up the market to you because you have more tools to use to execute a bias or implement a strategy, define risk. You're going from to really simplify it, you're going from checkers to chess, right? There are additional dimensions that you're playing when you get into the options market. Again, this is not going to appeal to everyone here. So with that, because of that, I'm going to split these videos here probably for the rest of the month between TA on crypto and the things that we've built this customer base here and this subscriber base, which I'm sensitive to. I'm going to split it, and then you're going to start to see more option-related videos here, and I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of tools that I use. Some you'll like, some you won't. It's going to be a question of whether you want to come with us on that education. Now, there's no shortage. My God, there's no shortage of option education online. There are gazillion of sources, all the major brokerages. And often I refer people, particularly amongst the members, I refer them to those sources because it just would be a very inefficient use of my time to create the TradeDevils options course when I couldn't possibly compete with Schwab and Thinkorswim and Fidelity and many of these brokerage houses that have huge production budgets to put together option trading courses, right? So there's no shortage. I will refer you to some that I like. And if you stick with us here, I think you'll start to see how I approach the market. Again, the TA doesn't change. It's just how do we execute and where are we executing? Now, as that relates to crypto, well, with the majority of us, well, I should say, if we look at our membership base, it's 65, 70% is in the U.S., and we do not have the same options as those outside of the U.S. for trading crypto options. So that's kind of a pain in the ass, but eventually that will change. I mean, of course, you can trade on the futures market. You can trade some options, but nowhere near what's available to us in the equities market. So you're going to see much more equity trading. You're going to see options trading, and you're going to see the TA remain exactly the same. So just broadening out what we're doing here. So I figured I had to take there's 5-6 minutes just to update you on this. Okay, so I will put a time code in here, so if anybody doesn't want to listen to this, they can get right to the charts. Okay, so let's start with Bitcoin. As I said, let me just wrap up by saying I'm going to split these videos here, so I'm not going to include any option trading in this video. There'll be a follow-up video. We'll start to introduce it, but I've got to kind of move slowly because it's not what people are used to from us, and many people, we've already done some testing within the Discord. People are interested, they're excited, they're looking forward to it, but many people are brand new to the options market. So there's a bit of an education curve here that is to come. All right, with that said, let me stop talking. Okay, so here's Bitcoin. Okay, is there much to say here? What's the date of this low here? November 19th. So really from Thanksgiving through now the first week of January, we have done nothing. Now, you might look at that and go, oh, God, boring. Well, it is kind of boring. Now, that said, the only thing, and I mean this very sincerely, the only thing, I choke. The only thing that I can say with absolute certainty and just conviction from the core of my being, the one thing that I can guarantee you in the markets is that from compression comes expansion. Now, you can look at this and go, God, fuck, man, this thing just won't not move. What I can tell you is the energy buildup here is very real, and so we're going to come out of here. Right now, if you apply just basic Elliott, right, the path of least resistance certainly looks like it's down. But there's no guarantee in the market, right? This is coiling. This is energy building up, and we're going to pop one way or the other. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. No, probably yours either. We're going to come out of this loaded. right? We're going to go one way or the other pretty aggressively. Now, if we look back historically, it's hard not to see something like that swing right there and say, well, oh, boy, wouldn't that be just exactly what you might anticipate here? We're going to come down. Oh, if I can get that arrow, turn it around. You see where I'm going with that? Wouldn't that be just exactly what you might expect here? We're going to come down and sweep that low just like we swept that low. In fact, these look somewhat similar here. If we look at this completing a 5 here to, there is a bear count that would have this as an A, right? B, C, right? We're going much lower. Could be, but, bulls are going to want to look at this and think, oh, maybe it's A, B, C. We're coming down here. Whatever this is, again, there's no knowing. But, trading is never, it's not about knowing. It's about probabilities and being clear about where you're wrong. Right? That's really that's the whole point of it. It's not trying to predict the future. It's trying to organize the chaos so that you can identify when you're wrong. Now, right now, if you ask me, right, it's gotten to my head, am I long or short? I'm short. I don't want to be buying this here, right? Well, I mean, we've had all of the classic ingredients here for. This is nothing new here, right? So we sweep the high here and straight down, right? So it's just classic market manipulation. There was buyers there, right? There again. I've been saying this for a lot of years now. That does change a bit when we go into the asset market. That's the only place where you can actually trade successfully by trading breakouts. But futures, FX, crypto, don't be that guy. I've been saying that for 7 years. You're just asking to get bent over, and of course somebody did, right? Many people, I guarantee you, right? A lot of volume there. They were thinking it's breakout, right? Because now keep in mind, we want breakouts to work every now and then, right? Or retail will stop doing it. So this was, literally that's out of a textbook, right? You couldn't script that. Same thing here, right? You guarantee there were sellers here. I could go all over the chart. Buyers up here, right? Just sellers down here, right? It's just you cannot do that. You're just asking for a really, really bad experience in the markets. So if we look here, we're kind of looking back right here. Here's the coil here. Here's the spring, right? If we could actually just even bring in a little Wyckoff here. We don't have a spring here. So we need some sort of catalyst to get us out of here. And what's it going to be? A rate cut? The market was all tense today about the Supreme Court and the tariffs, which, as far as I'm concerned, it fucking doesn't matter, right? Because they'll find a way around it. And as far as I'm concerned, the Supreme Court's in on all the corruption, right? So I shouldn't say that. But erase. I'm not a fan. But this looks to me like, okay, what would be the most likely path here? I mean, this is a regression channel. That's 2 standard deviations on either side. Okay, we're going to have to get out of here pretty aggressively. And we've got all the algo resistance we're going to have to fight through. I mean, just looking at value here. So for most of you, I don't even need to do this, right? Okay, well, we got a big cluster of volume up here at the 50. We're going to be outside of the value area here. Are we going to somehow get out of here impulsively? Well, it doesn't look that way now. Does it? I mean, wouldn't you? That's what I would anticipate. Now, would that be a low? If we're down here in the 70s, so is that our low? Or are we in Elliott Wave, right? We begin or we end in 5s, right? Well, this is for a bull, that's not a great looking setup. So I think if you're bullish, right, long term, right, and a time frame is always hugely relevant. If you're a bull here, you're kind of waiting, right? Perhaps this is a huge opportunity. Should we to come down here and sweep below the 80 and get an opportunity to buy down here? Kind of wishful thinking. We shall see, but there's absolutely nothing. There's no reason to do anything in crypto, right? As far as I'm concerned, again, my opinion, nothing to do here. Not in Bitcoin, ETH. Maybe we'll look at Ripple. Maybe a little kickstart there. That's getting some buzz. Some people will tell you that they think that AI has just stolen all the thunder from crypto. I'm not sure I disagree with that. Ultimately, the two are going to merge in ways that are going to be hugely dramatic to changes across the financial landscape, but we're not there yet. So it's a bit of hurry up and wait. It's just kind of wake me when it moves, kind of in Bitcoin. All right, that's enough on Bitcoin. Let me get over to ETH here. It looks a little better, right? This is trying to get bullish here. Is there something here? ETH, is ETH going to lead us out? maybe, right? I mean, the count is a little bit more accommodating to a bullish bias here. You got to get a little funky here. I had some PK on my team here help me with this count here. This could be, you could read this a couple of different ways. The bottom line is, I look at this, is what do I see here? I see an impulse, and I see a correction to the golden zone. Now, we go in this direction. Right now, it's swing high, internal retracement. We doing that? Well, that's not the start you'd like to see. I mean, you could probably wedge a diag in here, one, from WXY into a 2. Well, it would be another diag here if we're going to get a 5 out of this. So it's, we're sitting here at this high volume here. Now, the one thing we can look at here and say, well, that's this side here is from I think I pulled it from here, is this side down, and the volume profile here is from the low up. So we see the intersection between all of this. So if I just did it this way, right, we see that overlap between the volume here, the volume here. Okay, something to do. Yeah, I know. I mean, one of the reasons that we changed things up in the format is because I was tired of giving you things that based on a calendar, or like, okay, we're doing these every Friday. If there's nothing there, why the fuck am I doing a video? I just got tired of it, right? A little bored with it. So, we're making those changes. Our live stream, by the way, also changing, right? We're changing the format. We polled the members. They wanted to change. We're not going to do the member driven, letting the members pick the assets. So that's going to change. So again, a lot of new things you're going to see from us. So as we look here now, coming back to ETH with something to do, in my opinion, that's not good enough. But I mean, we don't know that 2 is in. This could be A, B, C, right? We can see a possible, right? Maybe we've got an A, a B, and a C here, or a W, X, Y. This a little kinky in there, but essentially it's just straight down with a couple of hitches there. I'm on a 4-hour. We go to 1 hour. Okay, W, X, Y, maybe. A, B, C. Again, now we're back to it. It would have to be a diag, right? We've had the overlap. It looks more like that could be heading down. Here, that's too big. Let's take that down. ABC could be. WXY could be, right? There's no clear path here. There is just certainty here as we tag this golden zone here. Where would any bullish bias, where do we know we're wrong? Oh, down here. Right, certainly here we're 2,400. Right, we're breaking that low, but you could see, right, this being an area of accumulation, right? So it wouldn't be surprising. I'm not even going to get into the ETF flows just yet until this thing starts to move, right? Everybody gets all caught up on it. What about the on-chain metrics? Or well, fuck that. Listen, it's going to be reflected in the price. What you're trying to do, if you're digging into the on-chain metrics, I'm not trying to discourage that. I'm just telling you, all you're trying to do is front run it. Oh, well, I can see the whatever metric is showing it's bullish. Okay, well, great, right? You don't think that's going to be reflected in the price, right? You don't have to pick the turn. It will show up in the spot price. It will. You might get a head start if you're in perpetuals or in futures, but it will show up in spot eventually, right? So don't get all caught up in, my God, I got to learn all the on-chain metrics here. Price is price. Price is ultimately all that matters. Price is right. Anything else is, speculation, just conjecture, or gurus talking, right? So I don't consider myself a guru, but I consider myself an educator, right? A teacher and a trader. So is there something to do here? I wouldn't do anything. Why? What's your edge? Right? The only edge we have here is we can see clearly where we would be wrong. Any possibility that this is a 1 here gets DQ'd if we break the golden zone down here, right? So I think we can let this sit. Now, if it starts to kick, okay, well, we'll have, we'll adjust accordingly. Okay, what do we got? Last one is, hang on a sec. Okay, let's look at XRP here. Maybe. Let's pull out a little bit. We looked at this so many different times. This is such a clusterfuck of just, we look at, all of this, right, comes from that consolidation, comes expansion, right, with things that we know with certainty. Okay, so this, we've been going sideways, since 24. Right down here, right? Well, that's, a lot of money spent to get this administration in. Has it done much for crypto? Well, we'll see. Okay, right. So we're coming down here. Okay, something here. I can see we ended with a 5. That's the only thing I can say. This is, I mean, you can count this multiple different ways. I don't even know that it matters. It really doesn't, right? So we're down here. Here's my POC. I've had something that looks like I might have something impulsive here, and I can work backwards from, okay, is it pretty? No, but there's a good chance we have a diag here to come down and finish this, and then within the diag here, it looks like it finishes with little 5, right? So you've got all of the right ingredients here, and then we get a little pop, and then, oh, high or low. Oh. Right? So good sign, right? Potentially. Certainly, we have use case for XRP. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I can live with that. Now, looking at the relationship 2 to the 4, is that good, good relationship balance? No. Does it matter? I'm loosening up a bit on the Elliott Wave in my own trading here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the alternative, right? That this is, you're going to put the 4 somewhere else in here. I would just look at this and go, okay, we've had something here. Certainly this leg here is impulsive. I didn't even check here. What did we run into? Let's get you out of here. There's going to be resistance here. Now this, let's just check that out of curiosity. Well, coming into the 50 here. Is there anything else that might? That's the last swing before we go up. I'm fine using that here. We get a true double down here, so we can look and say, okay, well that's where it got cheap enough that people started buying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, maybe, right? What's the best case scenario? That you're doing this. That this is the 4. 1, 2. You're going to have to dig a little 1, 2 out of that. Maybe, right? This would not be something I would be trading against. My opinion. Right? It's not ripe enough yet. Maybe that's it. Maybe, right? But now that's pretty deep retracement, right? So we're already at 50. So it looks more like it's a 2. So if we put the 1 here, oh, where did my 1 go? So we put the 1 here. Okay, maybe. I don't like to trade maybes myself, right? So what do we got here? Maybe you got your A going in. Well, let's see. Let's go to 01. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to stretch some sort of a extension in the 5th. Looks like it's legit, right? It looks like you got to clear 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't overlap 5, right? So looks like you've got an A wave going in there. A. Now B. See, that's what you'd anticipate, right? Not what you know, just what we anticipate, right? Again, we got a lot of precedent. What does the market usually do? Well, that's a 5 down. There's no working. There it is, right? There's no working around it. Okay, so A, B, C. Well, where might we go? Well, where's a B usually go? Now, where's the market obligated to go? Where do they usually go? Put it up here. We got an order block up here. Come up for the B. Okay, well, remember the B is the sucker rally, right? Maybe this is A, B, and we're going to go up here and bulls get very, very enthusiastic here. Okay, right? Because of 1, 2, 3, 4 that can turn into a 1. Certainly could. You could you? That'd be a bit of a squeeze to turn that into a WXY. That seems less probable. Right? Anything's possible, but right there, it's no edge. So why force the trade? I don't think that's worth doing. So with that said, I think this is one, of the 3, this is the one that looks the most tradable. But I mean, for a bull. But you're trading the B, right? So you wouldn't want to have new highs in mind, right? If we do this, right? You could still get an impulse. Oh God, can I do it? We can get that B up there. This could be A, B, C, right? See, this is very tricky in here because of that, right? So even at a different level, you could look at the same thing, right? You could, let's get you over here. This is just a micro version of what we're looking at over in Bitcoin, right? Consolidation. From that contraction will come expansion, right? That's, again, these are nothing to do with the market, right? That's the universe, right? So from that consolidation will come expansion. Period. Right. That's the only thing I know with certainty. We won't stay here for long. Oh, pardon me. I shouldn't say it that way. We could stay here. The longer we stay here, the bigger the load that's building in there. the energy, let's say it that way, right? The longer we stay here, much like Bitcoin, right? It's been there since Thanksgiving, right? Build. That energy is building. It's going to release. It always does. So we shall see which way this comes, right? But just be mindful of the fact here that this first push here could very well be the C of a B, right? You've got to get more information, right? So if we do this, that's what you're looking for. Then, okay, maybe we can go then. But until then, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, right? So crypto is kind of a buzzkill at the moment. Now I know. Here's the other thing about crypto that I don't know if you know this, right? I was kind of taken aback by this. I think we're at 29 million crypto coins now. Just think about that for a second. Go to CoinMarketCap and ask, or go to your AI and ask it how many crypto coins are listed on CoinMarketCap. It's 29 million. What percentage of those do you think are going to survive for the next 5 years? One half of 1%? Maybe less? 20. I'd be happy if 20 survived. So we're going to stick with it. Any analysis we do here is only going to be with crypto that has a utility, because anything else is you might as well go to DraftKings, right? You have the same. You probably have better ads. Or what's the other new hot market? The prediction market. Boy, that couldn't be any more ripe for corruption. It's already happening. So, all right, not to be, I don't mean to be a buzzkill. I'm quite the contrary, right? I think those of you that are interested or don't particularly care about the asset class that we're trading, whether it's crypto or equities or futures or whatever it may be, I think you're going to find that the new content from us, that what we're putting out both in the Discord, which you can join, by the way, it's free to join, right? Right now, we're making all the options education available only on the Discord, because it's just too overwhelming it's just too hard of a turn on YouTube. So we'll get there. So with that said, all right, look for new content from us and from me on this channel. My guys are still in there, all cranking out crypto. Right? So it's not like you come into my Discord and now you're going to see nothing but equity options. Right? That's not what I'm saying. It's just that's what you're going to see from me, and that's what you're going to see more on this channel. Okay, with that, I'm out of here. I wish you guys a good weekend, and look for those changes and updates to come the next week.